merkao Mr.Tutii-Elbulchel Chilton. Kotak momtera committee man nga sulam la sa ML. Lo tiriklisel na request ra committee na sa bals ML may appear tel committee. El girel tel confirmation hearing ra amalut kala president tel malut kal mo ada labor dara Palau National Development Bank. Little committee wal tiawal koraba esel appointment terkal mortial board mang little committee wal korati tria background rakau ma igel wal ability rakau mo survey igel roller tial board ak man nga sulem mo sa emel luam kilingera president tial lomelkel ediri kal kongel me presenta igel amtala committee edre mo answer igel questions sa committee members sa committee igel tial confirmation na ma wala daw mo ule Mr. Tutii edi walk introduce our members kala administrator members and din kora for the record tel committee di wal plakatak ako sa members sa committee nga tial confirmation hearing ka nga niya vice chair committee al takal senator ng abangal direk nga tiya nga takal senator Inabo al niya ug chairman Ways and Means direk member committee madirek takal senator Tabalwal direk member committee ug chair committee education mga sular members sa committee gukno sa BILME tigel gukno dia kal sa BILME al-sil sa kukngan niya al-sendri al-sil sa mong no dia kal sa BILME excused mawera paskaula len so kal lolingit ra ma sel kuita ulale ko ngem kara di meskida akwigel kora background raw ak madingan ngani ya sel resume raw ma hindi ko ngilbom luton makatak for the record at tial hearing luton mo ngil makatakli sila ko na background raw niya awal relevant el mortial appointment el marabor da NDBP edire ka mura timo ay sa almera committee ay gel losangem el gire la tial institution NDBP ma igel ko karamam daswel obom confer mo member tial board en igel mom daswel ko ra sa ML contribute for the improvement ma development ra abang magagida pulingit tambal sa el ko mo part ra introduction ra direct mukha dim skida briefing el igel sa igel itat ko ida ulala ko
Ali, malungil 2000 na terus ako malam sulang il merela 2000 ngot il suakal merela sulela president il nominated kal merti al board ra National Development Bank of Palau. Ngari sige dile babiyarak ni fill out agil answers ile or communal ngot il waset ang ngakatilo ra school ra Miguel ra 1994 ra Rutgers University ako pa masters nga ra social work. Sila ko termine belara 94 ako rio lobangela Paul Callahan ma Joe Isal ra obis sa planning statistics ak na help survey agel to ra umalam magel survey ra oral sige del first experience ang to ra finance to ra economy ra blue belaw makar sige del obis sa president in 1994 mo 95 para obis sa PCC Palau Community College. Ako to start radorm student activity specialist and then 95 ako sincera PCC sila po sincera ako sincera agil social sciences agil rogol to ra sociology philosophy magigid sincera ako sincera 18 years momer kara 2010 sige dem na sokal mo private tele ako mdas agil to ra after school program Akti private till 2010, el mo 2012, Minister Obiang ang may asang kalhel perngil rulit yan obis sa energy, sa Palau Energy Administration. Makobang Minister Obiang 5 years, director at yali Palau Energy Administration, ilang Palau Energy Water Administration ilang time, maidan ang aril director ilang time. Sila po mga say, makna start earlier pang non-profit at yal kumbali ang klila Island Conservation. Island Conservation ay yil tukor invasive species. Monitel program kama mara March, ilal may March sa ulong. Kama mayil mawada yil ebeab, mayil katura ulong. Oriro pang Coro State. Wagigil mal briefer background nga tukor school, ma experience nga Blue Belaw. Hindi gil tul tukol man solo rol mura committee was a vote lakne member FIC, the Financial Institution Commission, ngarsil 10 years, and then the last 3 years akne chairman na Secretary Board. Sil tamak chairman akne help approve it the Pacific PIB Pacific no Palau Investment Bank kome sa ngaram yun na through a process apply makome sa financial sa lobang na commissioner. Sige daklo experience nga sa igil ito ko banking ma institutions. O ngayon nga tiyali membership ra Palau Area Network Fund, sel PAN Fund, aktiral marabor del musuba igil ito ko investment, ma finance ra sa igil time ra Palau PAN Fund. Ilang aktimel nga naman miul ilal time was at igil two experience sa FIC, mang kagidele PAN Fund help ng ato economy. Ak malumes sa website ra a development bank. Ako mesenil was it tele help ra other belaw. Emrula igil economic development. Ay igil low interest investment mo na tigal nga belaw. Whether investors are coming into Palau or tigal other belaw nga tiya. Akong dasurle committee sabekal help ra at development bank ay sige del tukoro sen sume malaya depositors may mustat malaw total deposit mo na bank and sabekal help transition mo sa yid sige experience nga ra FIC plus aktiral lolo bangela FIC so mga niya yel hospital experience nga ra 10 years nga ra chill board sige del go help ra a transition ra National Development Bank mo so emana deposits. Sige del hopefully sabekal help lobang gela board masel staff ra Development Bank transition sa igid. Sige del got. Ong edong direkal swakal make sure agigid del tukora housing loans mga loans el mora showay akmal madangel wase sumanda ka okya kara tourism girel lo sigara be SL industry merablul belaw. Etyal Development Bank ang girel ngari. Girel Tobra obes mong rural recruitment was in tasebel o showira yel agriculture, magel besel whatever tourism, dengue, marogoy, whatever industry in sebel more belaw. Dak sebeda di nga obes mila adel may gire del to del mamla recruitment del di wangal ra school gire recruit del mamla tel scholarship. So akum da sengge del tulto committee was in sebel help ra Development Bank. Sige del vote was in several transition sumla deposits, magil requirements to capitalization, magil requirements to anti-money laundering policies, and gigit in several helper tier, magdirekal tagit to investment best industry. Was it makmakaral nga niya dos was it dakalital tagit solar nga ni maybe nga niya best IPP in several may mala loan na Development Bank. Maybe SL industry na blubela. Onda dital agricultural masada gugam mapra Maria yel tokora cocoa, Maria yel tokora pepper, yel black pepper sa bola. Maybe sabed. Hindi nga ledel adra board, mga ledel adra staff yel kumbali ang yel to del mo sa adra boy may engo short din. Dak selo sa kadi mo rabang ke engo application ka. Maktimo gile mala adal may dongok lobong yel, emsu, helper nil, o si sakla yel yel fill out rin. Sige ako may sanil silte megal nga na private sector. Ndakal wasi adabela ndakal swal. Soril, hindi problem kita adabela ndakal, kita talibal murulo gira yel gira. Gira del nga le del mong ito basen chairman swal magarang, a helper ka step 1 2 3 4. Ako na sin sige del selo ko sa ang arlet acting ara obis emrogong elal tamen dak sebed dingar obis emrogong el mingila adel me ngire del to del Wadak nga na board or lu bandak nga na board ang giril help para lu. Kasi tikal nga na balu amal soril hindi sige del part makmakaral man tel application form makmakaral lu tel financial statement makmakaral lu business plan. Silabora Development Bank ang ani sige del giril sa stand to kay klalo sa edem rule blu belaw. Of course, it tell to agriculture di malmol masadar ngil masin hindi kan soril mal soril. Especially tagi del momre kara tukura COVID. Matingel was in Yaxwell mingi lakal ngari kloy belal me. Gita girel ngari belal ngari akalet. Agir kloy to energy security, water security, food security. I think on development bank in Sobel. Hindi gira del rulil possible extend I gel ngesul mura other blue and I know they're doing it now. Tigal ngara a staff of them rule ngari leader alta. I'm not saying they're not. Di sige that part of the circle was saying nga legal sumak I'm able to go on the board sige that part nga was nga gil to the personally mo malala tigal blue bell and ask us nga raso you how can I help you put the application form in tige gide a committee ma chair wagi gire background nga ka may gil do swirl tel development bank kamam sulang
Ma'am Saule, Mr. Chilton akmal lungilan urong sal nasa ka nganya kamlas tatal ko o mes ay gel momdas yung ungil sa emel contribute til mura continue grow dra tel NDBP may gigidel expansion ra a program ringil mo reach out til mura potential customers malabet client tra manggal mo sabil legong receive services kami o sisulta mo kom help pertil develop pa gel guk para business planner till starting from the very small part tigel nga business community kung ilan mo dorong sise dingal yung ilan mo dorong sa gel no mention or say gidel ngarin la wal mandate ra NDBP mo collecta deposits obviously has been wal already la existe and hindi ka kamal effort ra manggal implementer ngi mal ubel ko recommend that changes el more segi del existing la mananga sulem el mentioner sel en clock to tulel en board sel appointed til mora yang ngi del la exist mal ubeng mandate el olbira klula ra kutmok el girel tirak la bang ay gire la ngal labor and make sure ng motirak lagi kita la malsu mga niyangal sang sila la malibang niya ko ra alit atul ang labor del mo mes ay gide mer kong recommend that changes and mer olbira ko lang mas edel improve rulil mo beneficial mo not only the institution madirek client tel institution kung nga sulam mo mentioner siya o rin klase sumang kamo ngal takat mura board able sa emel look into those mo relo man titigil other members kay nga sol mutul makaklitial NDBP mutul mamsisi going forward mo opera ulal mura members mo ogera question util nga question util relax mo ukali mo waksam ang pagil discussion lagi di mo kung mo hospital maulala open maayora pais
so TL chair Mr. Chilton mga dado man lepto ka question leptura met murap tulong makmal to no to lo usuling I got a lot of questions for you. I hope you're prepared. Mr. Chilton, ang sirakotol met mo nga kadim na kungil o week tial appointment tak na assume wasa kumara FIC. Hindi wuk mister nga kakamura NDBP. Hindi kumralo sen adim lakal Mr. Presidente appointer kalmura NDBP and I'm saying this for one specific reason. You're transitioning from being a regulator, FIC, to being a regulated NDBP, regulated by FIC. Actually, sa all time, kita ngibig sa FIC gel while President Trabang dong okra board at FIC ex officio, as you know, lakam na chairman ng FIC. Ding motat sel issue deposits. Sel transition na NDBP mamala deposit, ingam regulated by the FIC. Etiala amlorngira, I think it's been like 5, maybe 8 years. Al-made al-ngarabuk siya na NDBP dira kalmubel morning. And I do know several years ago, NDBP, ang ilo consultant, I'm not so sure if it was ADB or IMF. Mlel nga sera NDBP was how do we implement tiana mola. Well, move NDBP from a borrowing institution or a grant receiving institution, that's how you get your capital now, to a deposit holding institution. Semle intentro olvira kululaw ma presidente may saying rin mo lao kasi makaradang usel cost raw daw the los pen nga NDBP medio. And the only way to do that is NDBP doesn't borrow money, it holds deposits and lends that money out. That has always been a challenge with NDBP. Garo daw the los pen NDBP Mbelengarak Mungaral Banga, Mbelengara SS, Mbelengara Megabank. There's multiple funding streams that NDBP uses to gain capital. They got a loan at certain amount of interest rate, and then of course NDBP, when it loans it out, it has to add on its provision for bad loans and their own operation costs, etc. So at the end of the day, that cost to borrow rather still other below goes up. So how do we solve that problem? Make NDBP take on deposits. And we understand that seems to be a challenge, Selguk organization or NDBP, to be able to take on deposits. Dira kanani ang dasun mo la ngaram dala kamitil kung sa kamiti ororngi and some others co-sponsor this bill. El mala lulim NDBP akukti mo address segid el shortfall of funding and capital through institutional deposits. Institutional deposits means maybe it's state governments or individuals that would put in 100,000 or more instead of tokol migigray. Legal requirements through the regulatory body, FIC. Maybe this is a way to ease those requirements to allow NDBP to gain access to lower cost of capital. If you're familiar with that proposed legislation, and there was some discussions with the outgoing president of NDBP. I understand was a contractor niya maamare kamang. Mura di sa kalungwal dos members saying the challenge that NDBP has in terms of accessing capital. I'll say my commenter say as well as Selguk. I don't know if you were chairman of the FIC at the time, when that consultant came in and did their analysis on what NDBP needs to do in order to take deposits as per the law that is effective at Tutii.
Kabamsula le Vice Chair, Senator Mason. Sila kara FIC mangani segi del toil was in development bank ang yirel mala deposits. One of the issues kama mga FIC lo mes ang segi del time segi del toil capitalization. Ang kami rogol madangin segi del issue da Pacific Savings Bank. So ngani ab SLL was sugum ka mala deposits ang yidil at segi del bank agirel nga niya capitalization il separate agil dudel usper nga sa bank. Sige ko to close issue na development bank ilang. Of course, although agil issue na rogoy. So, sige del tama ko sa index sa development bank, emra deposits, unless sa ML was akmala 100,000 deposit, tingil 100,000 nga separate account. So, more problem ang development bank, FIC civil mo emla agil do dem satikal adal no deposit say. Sige del mal close issue. Ma agil rogul like ngodim logoning senator may agil do to spera development bank agil tora a grant ma ngania earmark ko sen so malolap tal grant tal tora solar ndas mo spengil marangi dil ngarang so agil transition ra ay gigil resource ra abang ka se ingila lo mesing usel kadam makaral sa el connect the lo bangila agil bebe labang grablul blulat ra sila Pacific. Sabi ng Loro Banggela FSM Bank, Loro Banggela Development Bank, and sa Loro Banggela ang udal outside I get three FIC Bank ang Arab Lubela. If we can answer sa the question about capitalization, then daka issue ra agil training il mora a staff ra bank sa MLI man daka issue ra agil security was ang giral nga niya safety pa ang nakil safe lagi do sa il nga niya mingil bora nga nakil bank. Agil partnership lo banggila agil creditors wagi. So everything else for me as senator is based on sige capitalization. Agil resta ang what. So how do we ndaka agil maral answer nga ilalta min gida lordo banggila staff ma board ma commune other all bill ma you know it's not something you can do fast. Ngida mulmul sa ngil mado ngil debate rin indak sa belo kasi ngirel elalta ngirel magarang. It's a very complicated issue, especially gil tora finance. Ngidam le suffer agil tora Pacific Savings Bank. Hindi nga niya ada elangal dim lang ang mlad udir. So that's still stuck in our back of our minds and magada luruite agil mo development bank. So sige del issue the capitalization about. Ong irung to address possible deposits or possible development. Government. It's a government-owned agency. 100% owned by Blue Belaw. Daksabel di gaba mga rabor del todo sigab esol del mi annes kada ngul mera all bilil ngwa agong gamil mo sayid. So it's a partnership, it's a hard partnership, but we'll figure out a way how to do it. If it takes another 5 years as senator, unfortunately, if it does, we'll still continue. But the plan and the dream of FIC was by yung Development Bank, amlo clearing house, basta lagi rogul bank associated, sabi clear lagi rogul checks, manda kada mangil 30 days, magil off island ng rangklil. Ma Development Bank ang sabi dakal co-sign, sabi gongel was nga kasi los pera utumegel. As a loan and development bank guarantee say there's so many different issues. At the same time, of course, they have their own investment. Like I said, I get rogul investment, my grants ang area, I get los peri. That's the board, the president of some buy goda I get rogui, a rulil deposit, and then rulil mura loan I get vessel. So it's little details, but in say this, Senator. Hopefully, most of the answer the question.
Well, Mr. in Serga, in Lamini, and something else I've been thinking about other than institutional deposits. And alakal with the bank can do it now, and that's the issue of bond. That's another way to get capital. And maybe that's one way to get capital quickly. Bonds have never been issued that are blue below. You know, there's government could issue bonds, state governments could issue bonds, and I believe the National Development Bank can also issue bonds. So someone can invest in the bank to get paid at a later date. Maybe that could be something that the bank could look at as well as access to capital. And something I said during the introduction of institutional deposits, and I'll say it again. The Social Security Board, the Compact Trust Fund, Healthcare Fund, PCC Endowment Fund, PICRC Endowment Fund, all of these funds, every year we go to APAFs to learn about these funds and their performance. Performance where? Performance ra Pluramrigel, performance ra in the worldwide marketplace, globally. Why isn't a portion of that money directed to invest ra Plurbelaw? Iga 100% niya going outside. Lomod or akmungir. Akmon sa ding wat talgip. 3%. 3% would give the bank probably $50 million. Could. I mean, or $30 million, or some amount, because there's probably $1 billion, or I don't know. I don't know the total amount. Dudel Belau invested outside. I mean, you just go to the Compact Trust Fund, we got 300 million. You go to Social Security, it's 100 million. You start adding them up, if we could get a small percentage of that, 3%, 5%, 1%, that's directed to the National Development Bank to develop para Blur Belau instead of develop para Blur Amrigen, why not? And understand that that money being invested para Blur Belau is more stable. It's not affected by the global marketplace. We just saw a huge loss last year. We had negative returns on investment. Let's say we earmark a specific amount, and more at sila NDBP, and it's fixed. Maybe they get 2%, but it's constant. And then if the bank can get money at 2%, how much lower could they loan it out than more other below? What do thus with crazy? If it's not institutional deposits, maybe it's a bond, something to lower that cost of money for NDBP, and in turn lower the cost of borrowing and more other belalos pera NDBP. Sulang. Iya ko di comment nga kay. At suamel comment maldungil basulan ko di comment sulang.
Hindi ba de Vice Chair mal, of course nga kamal agree ay guilty ngem ay to bonds ma I get all investments. I think my issue has always been Digital Development Bank. Gidro all other below. I yell besel to ko gire del murul amal meringal gire de mo kogi. Aktimal mo ayel tora a PCC ay sila kana PCC lo sa klasen. Dak sabi ka din kaldido orel wasing gidro ko gire el magaram. Ang gire el mo kulular ngil mo kal mo ko so I understand yel tingin mo senator and I really agree. Even naniya time ngania yel fund rabul bela yel lorio bengela development bank and there was a chance ngania investment. Ding ayidal to kara interest el mora okyak sige dam le issue ka mam. Because the bank ang yel mara yel interest ring help fund ra yel operations ra bank. And kamama dim lang so mama yel interest alsel. Hindi sumama kami lobat yal do the loaner ni hindi nga take it interest. But we forget they also have to make money in some way. So at the end of the day, say it. Okay, kumansula.
Sahura responder kal morsel agel malungil question na ma-comment ra Senator ngira banglam. Ya inabong kaniya som ka kuidaw lan mara inabong.
Malungit tawi Mr. Chilton akmal di paisa ko sa kamal masawlal kung yung appointment ra president. As you know, NDBP ang niya energy renewable energy project that he has rolled out. Akundas with they have low cost financing resources from government Siabal mala baby ra ADB fund el ginadalo nga seura article ko ra a face a challenge ra cost of living rise el all time through providing renewable energy project among. I know they're loaning out I gidlu do dal mara private citizens. Akum das wet tulum das silwasial nga riwa interest ngi ar other bela mo qualify. Di akum das kamla FIC you can silwasi most other bela di ka sab qualify. Tangario or sel most other bela di kasi ilmutal malalong period. They don't have any more borrowing capacity. Tamla extra borrowing capacity ni especially suma kamlangwa alone raplim. So ako ra target sa idal program alwasing maybe it's missing the target. Malungilarong la sa kamal matanglia energy sector. Matangaya challenges ra renewable energy. Aktiral mal receive up to complain ra okyal ngarngi renewable energy installation up leader and it's not working or the roof is leaking or tiyabay na create a problem almortikalat. So that's why ar ada dirikal ko na mo back off because it's not really helping them with the energy cost. Dito I'll bring up per se the issue I hoping sa idal ko nga perspective or hard say because in fact akmlo help rawan lahat malmlo nga pa pateng giraplin mangmlo nga solar mlo install raplil ngabay dim lakal body ateng giraplil continue perang arba bedengi at the same time engirel pertal solar loan. So maybe that time mal unfortunate among we hoping with your expertise ra renewable energy knowing the industry and sa mal help ra sa the sector. But akti swa local girel sel you brought up the issue of capitalization al hurdle luul man ni kalse bela NDBP mo accept institutional deposits or large commercial deposits. Akmadangel wasi kamli atrabor the FIC chairman abor the kamdangalia sila FIC. With the full faith and credit the Republic al back up NDBP. Makarangagim ralia la FIC malbol sep el gonger sel full faith and credit instead of requiring capitalization. At what point would that be that'll affect the liquidity safety factor that we need to make sure there's liquidity also mga issue. So I guess that's a very suhal masang ako how do you see that? And number 3 questioner nga ay community reinvestment. Kamnara FIC mo kamdingal wasing batol deposits sa Palau wa by ngara outside especially ay deposits sa mga commercial sector. Ay keng korate lang makarang really alla almasab el require community reinvestment nga alsel belaw. Ilay bang kasi community reinvestment they meet that requirement and ding ngara outside Palau. So come kora explain na say how do we work that out kamsulang I guess qualifications are a question so I just want to see your perspective in financial issues. Sulang Mr. Chilton.
Kawan sulang Senator Inabo. First my first already my tora capitalization. Of course akori mga issue na kasi man full credit, full faith credit. Unfortunately, sila ko mesuring dak salsab el was government backup perni. Ngirel ngaril separate account sabam other FIC access was per se the total payback tika depositors. Dak sabam go ngira ay full faith credit to the government because Silburnia Bessel government and maybe next bill or white yagid the time and the economy of blue bailout and the outdoor al sale. So Gamamal depositors will lose our money to the bank and we have to wait for government to go ahead and say halika the momreka next that's why it has to be very clear. The money has to be separate. I get all banks of blue bailout separate I get account. The only banks and that separate I get the FIDC. Because ang insurance ay accounts up to 250,000. Hindi tiyagi the Asian Pacific Commercial Bank, Pacific Palau Investment Bank, they have to have a separate capitalization, money that accessible to FIC. So, okay.
Malsumang why say you're saying a government tagil separate a specific funding almo wayal say capitalization requirement regel deposits almo mura NDBP.
Say the separate account or a lot in Gidel told was and we will whatever guarantee a government the FIC lo masaril account that has accessible funding that we access without any interference from Gidilat. That's a well interference ragil to our governmental was we have to pay back the depositors. Since 19 lang at yagit to our Pacific Savings Bank hindi nga niya adal molmol diya ka tudir. Dimlak sa mga tudir Pacific Savings. That was the biggest issue because there was no regulation at the time and we allowed people who are in the banking sector to be on the board so they were able to do some things. Sige the issue. So to address it we make sure that at least separate account to our escrow was a separate ding artiagid. Access to FIC, the commissioner, when they see that there's a run on the bank or the bank is going bankrupt, we stop everything, look at all the depositors, pay back all the money, and then we deal with whatever left the bank owes for Ngasa Blue or anywhere else. So that's the issue. Even with government, it was a guarantee. It's hard. Maybe a legal comment was by you will say what does that really mean? Full guarantee the government of Blue. Maybe either to a bond or whatever to be able to secure. So the issue of capitalization from my experience maybe it's change or develop.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, there's that bill in the committee of banking I'll set aside specific role investment Blue most of it al deposit NDBP. Can we put some of that into the capitalization account? Like the mal-secure investment tabela because especially in NDBP lang nga assets, nga utam, fly, mga rangklil, guaranteed tel. So if they give out a loan to someone to build something, there's guarantee on. I mean, there's assets al backup or sell loan. So like COFA trust fund, like 300 million ang na drop mo 250 million. I just got a report today. Social Security Fund, it was 112 million, ilang na drop mo 88 million. So the market is not guaranteed and there's still corrections in the market. So we're losing a lot of money out there. So we believe that, investing in Palau is the best option for us. We hope when you go to NDBP, we can work out with FIC and what is the best language in the law that will make some investment in Palau possible, especially this time, tight. There's really tightening. Federal Reserve in the U.S. is really tightening on the money, so there's not going to be a lot of capital flowing around soon. So lang Mr. Chilton.
Go ahead. And someone respond like a comment Senator and go ahead.
Sige to community reinvestment, I guess connected to sige to capitalization. I do agree, Senator. I either fund the WAPAN fund, the SS, I endowment ma maybe sa belang arala kasi 1% ay yidrogoy as elmora capitalization and 10% 5% elmora investment. So we recoup some of the fund and we have to double check ay to interest development bank. So I don't mind if we redirect, especially for our industries that we need to really develop. We cannot just focus on tourism and Morocco. There has to be something else. We got to figure out a way to produce something in Palau. Whatever that is, I don't know at the same time. And right now, but investments in people, investments in communities is the most important part. And then it's a development bank. Development banks are supposed to do that. Right? But I do believe if there is a law that the development bank, FIC can work with the leadership, COFA funding if possible, PAN fund funding if possible. Let's say 100,000, 50% mora investment, 50% merita capitalization. So you maybe do at the same time, if it's possible for those investment portfolios. Because sila experience nga PAN fund, although the yidel tora emergency reserve, mama umesering al salabang kabang kadi 0.01 something percent sa yidel time. Sel time marulil mo ba investment 1 million. Ilang namas mo ba? Just in case emergency or reserves luwat yidel tora COVID, hindi ka okya kalmebela. Not we. Sige del laknang mo dangara aboard. They use that money to help, sustainable financing issues. So how do we use the same idea of sustainable financing connected to community reinvestment, especially at that time, man. Adro feel it just feels, much mess at sila blue at that time. Oh, lang na masarala dengi so how do we reinvest? Maybe that's something we all need to sit down and really debate and really find different ways. Help other below. Whether or not I belong to whatever party, at the end of the day, we have to help people. If people don't eat and have a home and feel safe, doesn't matter what investment we do. It's not going to help them. And then we perpetuate the stress, it starts with a little more about. So I do agree our community investment, we just need to figure out what investment we need to do. Capitalization, I think, can be done based on law. And how do we negotiate the legal terms with those funding that is here. And then the final one is energy, Senator Akmal agree, help other below, and also help PPUC. That's sometimes we forget it also helps PPUC. So hopefully the more we develop a solar system hopefully when it gets done in April, say the 20% and more NDC nationally determined contribution of blue below in more climate change. It's almost there.
Senator Nabor aman lungil commentary mga questions directly will respond akum das we Mr. Tutii we're on the same thinking process ayel domdas when sa dal rulita NDBP MCC like a standalone institution and capitalize on different options that's available for them mang asulam mention ay del guk all the same le kumrak blase bom adalte al borde la amoniate le del mutul mo sit down de discuss ay de explore ay de kakarus options se del ngosuya NDBP mutul mom CC ma financing ergi may gero goal options so will take consider for their capitalization makman mga sulam ngel sa gide. Senator tabulangan nga ako somoy lalo.
Kasi chair kamal sauratial ako te Mr. Chilton na kumul mal mga sulam sel namdulo sa kagongay motogubitial ulura NDBP namat sa yegir bebira gusemen Mr.Tutii-Elbulchel gut makliya urura NDBP mengos tidak ada belau kita klo bangli akamal di ngania ontigel mergaul girel tiagi betul ka development lo sa sem klungele bela ka di teget osengal madi imul towi aku nitro ka se laka mo besa se medo mesa development terablu belau one family at a time, one home at a time. Iti kita modulis kita ngat lagi. Tokor bela lo ase selm to rablim, mongil sablim. O moral la kabumuula ak moral merablim. El altu tau ngariarangal ke tilo mas school selomes el mebulurir en dia kaplay. They don't have a home. Ngakamundur tiya emdengli lekpla alse laksu badalo ase ngakamadala kara kegerei endim lakablimam magil mil kluk ladang ok magil mil mas mura kamura myun mura kaswaw ya ulabo lagi mil tabar tegi del blarangel isegida ul magil mil tegi le laklam lo nyada lang ok ise lakad lang ok se laka ubra blail ngal ka to dangi yel ngal ka celebra school ka madangi Dio mule de kalsebe. El alsil sanganya rangaligit. Dia kalau ngara ubrablay telang aklir. Makpalo se seguida imolon tiro se katamagara mo sa development one family at a time. Len dia kalsel ablu belal mongilan sukum ngani ada belal dia kadang aklir. Dia ngal ngara legel no okla dia kasil mongilak ngari traklap se. Seguida mal sokal ko otro klilo se. Mempo dome ngar segidel lol kain. Ela imura tokol ngar tiang wase ketemu siga tokora udo do mosop edel lotau taigel moktek tokora resources. Tiga sokal dulil ko example si ketemu makara otau taigel ngani udo mapol to rablay ada sel bakla. Ege taigel black sel ngani. Ela time ketemu asing ngokol metela lamora. Atrang okla. Ma NDBP makan traktor mo dong oklen kal ada atluar la dong niu ya como to puede okol metelail ngun sakan traktor makat urablay di tegi tam la morngi ari akan traktor lokot urablay ya atsel boliu le tumam tikra hurusato maralungil rule blay ngari adim sisul adal mo nga okol metelail imam kot urablay Eselebol tuaraf, morsel asel itaklo se ngway di kat ngedromul, edi aroy ko. Lebang kang maimal meraroy, mangril, akan traktor lang maududol ang mumukayangan. Atalang okla, amang kadrablals, edi akatar kamin modum. Komdol durokla, tembiol mangril. Marbibir rawai gamamil mlaigil utum ang mangay. Astay tams kidalis, makatamukot urablat ang oklo gimerak, ek may adang mga atamel, magibul doyabul samra NDBP, ito di mga real. Makataharaw rablay, ngara atamel at tararaat, e kung natin katingin NDBP lo ase, itigal ada kalil sa labul. Kung di mga real tiyaludaw, etiau do de la kabelment magi haraw ni tax legong edia kabre kel mergamal ma haraw ay kita kumda sing operabor dem koramo wasel borngar gutar adam namam tar besri la kautel masadra albura balu etial bang akora dia karangul la ser ada abul madokora telgi belongar kase sing magara segida mal kora asok lo bersilo se seguida el time aquí dir gol bentri akan traktor de tosado lo ngas sel o kol metela el mut kerdio lo ngas olgal morbab diesel kerdio lo se kata makara mesel do orar tial o kol metela blay el quality o kol metela ya kal am de ngani gel geisa maldi mo yara kan traktor ya kata mo imura blay sebe lo baltil mo teketa el bebir en dia di seguir el payment tadi geriol ngel ada di plal se ludo ya klal balma dia kal ngarsel sabel seguida dire kal motor el sulse de lang ok el mosub irar ngal gir Mangmuda kasi ilo to triangle gira school etam asar tial on lablay. Mat oy tia ara la school. Emang kata ara lablay. Entel mele langan le dial pas school. Ikita di sokal ko on ngit kalau si akmal berang sulem ling awul makalta sel mo do kamle senser nga. Masegi terus si saklem le nga awak plak suwi makukol dresile ko kala si mo ngit mo obra ni biak malo ngit se pom bang oklem ado du am drasing makarasa be edel gut maklaw dior. Sel bol sel trungal gel medu. Makarang. Ya gel dalang okl dia kablangi. Kom karang. Es como lang ang igel sa seludo do la be dia ka do taut. Ako ay sa tapos kami atal bilyon mendire la amo dia. Le la mo tuti adar takluk. Hindi kasi no tuti erul dar takluk. Ay kita ko nga kadi nga adar takluk meron dia kalang lakar si. That's what I know. Makmal do ngita nga kabal dia ngit apil ko kala si. Serungum bola kalobe sa tirigay gid nga soul adrablu. Ser tal migim do sa tirigay gid. Hindi kasi bedel ng hospital at belaw le. Abelaw tuira kardel al trila ng oklo. At siguro man dakalung ikmar do olvidel. Adang okla dakalung. So aktiyodar sa gigi do kita ka malos pe ang client siro si apotong altangat ng bomungin ya kain si bekla atata sulang.
Kaman sulang Senator Tabalwal. Kaman sulang mut luway sa kayel girel lomdas surang mor adrablo. Magi dal tukarablay. Hindi da kali tukarablay. Magi rogul al sirablul belaw. Ma katumdas ul da kali umdas wabuto. Of course it's a development bank. Tukarawdo del tukar economy. Meten the day was at adal magarang. Nakti mo sa tagi dal aradablay. Ma rala school. Ma unfortunately nakti mo sa tagi arala sugang. Magigidal direkal magigidal rogul at belaw. Moy senator inapo masado sit akporabang king area igel percentage was ako ba igel dude igel umkada igel balsek sumang ano ba 40% and ang sa malalo because say igel 60% ang giram no sparing il take care igel daily expense ko so hopefully sumasabi kal mortal board maktirang lodo bang gala board makamul adrawul bil maadrawul hindi ka dit talaga kal umdas wa igel musabi edel makarang ngidrogoy mura ada belaw mura ngal belaw saya gidel direct issue na tigal off island del main jaka abli kaman namodak sa beda dikero pangila atala mat ngidel moriak ngari abli so to ka issue sa gidel ngara blue belaw but hopefully sa el commercial gidel to apply because once you have your own home you feel like a king and then everything else will come from there even though ndaka do there ndaka sa beda mura amay malelo mur akti obat ya lius ma kaya malyung ilin da kada madang kumasada lek at least nga riablik kay gid tumam sulang sa every mind nga kay senator
sa ramal lungile dabda ko kal amen te question ni Senator Tabalwal hindi na kan malungin response ka na minima di kanya ang question wala mo dong simen tiagi ko ram 11 o'clock mang kalamal ko ang time na tial hearing rigit. Di bo sum up para tial confirmation hearing ka Mr. Chilton. Ako te ngogi tial confirmation hearing ka kada kam notat sa igel tukora capitalization rabang akmen nga sulem no sa ML guk masasel guk kora wisdom ra aknasing close to tulel gire del mga daula capitalization mo sa el support ra continuity ma sustainability tial program al mo sa el address ay gel patol lidra blue belaw gire la tora development ma toka lang ok ma ay gero gul aspect ra development ra belwat direkal notat sa ay gel guk selngangil الولداس الملا النيا مسادا institutional deposits الموسبة القمة the instead of deposit المرايقال outside the market سيد الانفستر نيرا السلبلاو كورا واد invest أي جاي يدلو ده درا السلبلاو السبب direct mo help lo makrok lay gid الدولات كالمقلو ديفلوبمنت ما مجيكريل مولموت يجي مجيكريل ممسب أقرا أضرب لهم direct no tatsa tokora issuance raban النيا كم داس direct التار option سيد المقنصيدر نيل مو وهذا raise capital mora mo support ayel gukni drabang finance projects mayel loan services ringi kita mendengar masing igay gidel wa floating abo abanda ma issuance abanda ngani ayel guk bebir atlantigil require gidel guk korawada rate rabang mang setara atletal gidel mo subrik masing before we start issuing bond ng makaranga da posisyon ti albangal mo sa BL al receive ra ngil rating mo sa BL attract ra investors and may invest out do dilo kaya gidel bundle po the issue radiyal mo touch sel al tora renewable energy program niya wal address ra sel cost of living tunguni ra la dengi maalalu di manal morbap mangla adaman lamo wal koram lamo burden pitokol other below keep up with their electricity bills matiyagi del program ra renewable energy the mereng asulela NDBP direct la expander ngi na mo sa el go help pitokol other ning waigel plan mention na senator inabong ngani igel tangani tigel adal wal kura mo fall between the cracks igel ngwal kura mo dia kal meet igel qualifications makulingit misel sumo ka al tangat makaba adal talbor de bodo meso sa igel program edelut el expander ngi sa el guk tire kal mo sutri tigel maral ngara baram ra tokora income bol sab irel mo qualify ako marak na siya ko datang okle da correctoral formulate raungil teletalent sa edel helper ti nakabalmente direk guklo polsab el lo darsa sesel nges wel guk mo support ti gidel adal guk mo diakal salmal qualify ngol ngso sa income martir bolsab el nakabalmente guk mo sa makatmok la criteria bolsab el nakabalmente guk mo o top da nges wel guk mo wal subsidize ay gidel ngal sa ngasel dudir el mo repay gay gidel loan renewable energy artikel notat sa atora full paid credit back by the government kung nasa sa gidel bato kayel ko success di gumrak na sing adalutel mo dong okla rangle labor the policy makers kung nasa sa edel come up with a way forward el gire la government el mo o provide ay gire wal ko credit backing ra abang el mo sep el sel lomul sa gire sum kadam ama mga tmok sa gire tora mo kolekta deposit se bol sep el ngani sel wara sense of confidence ra adal mo deposit au dik na sing selba aklaw do dil nga al silabang lengan niya backing ra government malubang ngani sel waliliak al security in the event something goes wrong en selba aklaw do dil direk el sel tora community reinvestment se direk am letat sangi cloud to trail do meses sa gideling as a independent country, sovereign country, kung nasing gira del position our country, el most of edel ayarugul resources er murtra balwada gira del reinvest el mo a development gira mang diakal lududere tangal lo sisibra aygal cook investment niya kuk timo support development aygal maklor belul nga outside sa gida taral dasol kung nasing cloud to tulela bang kama olbil especially bol sa edel makal kay nga silom dasul girel sa hiki silmo labong ale senator tablolam na mensor sa hiki del guktukora mom sa baak la household kung da sa semal close to 12 point girela NDBP mo views o singel girel sa ikidel plase kita magarang the uplift the tiget kotong arior al sila community tigid el merbable kum daswe if the bank musa elgu kom das plase kad investra for example ang ligid adalang akliar nga ligid kad mamura adalang akli ong eru kad mo mesra ang sil sab akliar adalang akli langal ang gusto ba klimo niya aknol te elelen mo sa elgu mo focus sa tor o masu and that will translate el mo ngil investment el mo ngang mo sa el lungil om super school at the ending sa el hook ma todra school me o pa seguir el hook PS el knowledge ngil hook reinvest el mera community makumdasing it's a whole cycle of investments el gire del mo mes ringi mo il mo ngil sa PLA kay del institution or wabang ka NDBP el mo sa mo parte sa del effort el mo support ra overall growth ma development ra ang ligid el from the very bottom el merba mang akti ay gigita ko radim le note el wal ko ramle issue the mentioner tial confirmation hearing raw akmal mga sulem el mem kada aswes ko cancel gay the questioner kamam oren at masebol sa el kamitil gu korakot makla report tel barawlal ebol sa el nga blessing ra arang lela senate el ginelta confirmation raw maktingul more segi de mutal maska lawal maka ukti makbigel mo lamang al comment raw ya malingit ra vice chairman di mo spiritual al hearing al tutaw
kaman sulang chair ngkot le mereng la sulil senators el metal hearing el tutaw ma ong irungan so kamen la sulil la president el mogongel was mogongel was en several mora tel board ra development bank ma support ra president ma support ra minister of finance makti rulitel tokol wasen akti moragel propagol sebek sumun sebek al mora board we only do the best we can ma adi sayid and then akti mere kamal musula rogoy mal musaul
o ese Mr. Chilton kamal musaul tel hearing ra committee ra banking and insurance and other financial matters. Main purpose raigal hearing otil morapuay rasa kau kata alath ngarase mulmokut maklil girel aku komlut kalblalo derse president trablor bela le korkau makmal appreciate raigal korakamen terkau mal the swim girel aku kurir NDBP ila kanar meng cycle on mamal ku senator sa dong okrel alwase akmo kumongal tangat kay gayud luldaso boda kay ngayon mga tmok girela tigel ospera tial bangargith marogul other belaw ma understand lo sa rogul appointment sa president morangi dil board makamisyon maldi ukti older cell other stalat tigana mini amol nga sera blur belaw ma committee older sia omrengal saul morgaw sel kuk commitment terkal kuk motor segel kuk talent terkau ya do Mr. Telomarit number kau eng ngaringi sel former experience terkau ma education terkau mal otil mereka mitil was you are indeed qualified mo serve as a board member National Development Bank ek malinguti al telom tera kamitil orang asulem el mertel hearing and we wish you the best Ersel committee report, masel vote, mo ngoigal mor albadabal, ramdal laulara senate, girel te alomalkela president el morgaw, el morabor de la National Development Bank. Amal masaura atemem, ya himit hearing ergid ating bertia member, mal masaura.